afternoon and welcome to the July 15th, 2025 special meeting of the Glendale City Council. May we have roll call?
Council members Asadarian, Brotman,
Here.
Garpetian,
Here.
Kasakian, and Mayor Najarian.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the Tuesday, July 15, 2025 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on July 11th, 2025 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And what's the first item?
Item number 1, community development regarding presentation of the draft land use and environmental justice elements during the public comment period. A motion accepting the presentation of the draft land use and environmental justice elements, including the proposed amendments to the land use map. And Mayor, I do have one card for this item.
Thank you. Mr. Galania.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and Jerry, members of City Council. Last year, staff had made presentation to the City Council and received some valuable feedback on the comprehensive update to the land use element, the proposed amendments to the land use element maps, and the new environmental justice element that has been now completed, and the draft was released for public comment on June 30th. With that, I'll turn it over to Vilya Zemetaitis, our Deputy Director of Long Range Planning, to present this item.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mayor Najarian, council members. Slide, there you go. Staff is pleased to present the public draft of the comprehensively updated land use element and the new environmental justice element, both to City Council and to the public. These drafts, as stated by Mr. Galanian, were released on June 30th for review and public comment. They are available on the website www.glendaleplan.com. Email notices were sent to all glendaleplan.com subscribers, community groups, interested parties, and neighborhood associations. Notices were also posted on the CDDs and the city's social media accounts. There will be a robust public outreach campaign to follow. Note that this presentation is another opportunity for the council and the public to learn about the drafts, ask questions, and provide comments during the public comment period. Mind you, this is an informational item only, and no decision is being made by City Council at this time. It's not advancing, sorry.
One more time. There you go.
Okay, thank you. The draft land use element is a comprehensive update of the 1986 land use element, and this serves as a key part of the general plan that outlines how land in the city will be used and developed. Updates include new land use topics and goals, associated policies, as well as specific and meaningful actions to achieve these city land use goals. Updates to certain land use designations, which will be described on the next slide. Limited amendments to the land use map, and integrated graphics, tables, maps, and photos to create a user-friendly document. And mind you that all of these changes comply with the requirements of the California Government Code.
Try the other.
It's the other clicker?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, okay, thank you. As previously discussed last year, updates to the land use designations include revisions to the land use category definitions to better reflect the city's current and future land use goals. The addition of 2 new residential categories to accommodate higher density, standalone multifamily residential uses. The splitting of the current mixed-use designation into 2 categories: mixed-use residential, which allows for a mix of residential and non-residential uses, and mixed-use non-residential, which allows for a mix of non-residential residential uses only, and these are to better reflect the current zoning. A new city-owned residential overlay called Quoro overlay to allow for multifamily development at city-owned properties at up to 50 dwelling units to the acre, and a new specific plan designation to improve administration of specific plan areas. Please note again that these changes apply to the land use element and the map only. Zoning standards will be updated separately at a later time, if approved. The draft land use element features a total of 6 overarching goals or topics and objectives. Each of these has its own set of policies and implementing actions. First goal, mix of land uses, focuses on a range and mix of high-quality land uses that create a livable environment for community members of all ages and incomes. To achieve this goal, there are a total of 11 policies and 7 implementing actions related to creating an appropriate mix and pattern of land uses, addressing various types of development such as hillside, residential, non-residential, mixed use, and transit-oriented development, as well as ensuring that the equitable distribution of parks, recreation, and natural resources throughout the city. Second goal, directed growth, focuses on directing future development in infill locations primarily along commercial and mixed-use corridors where infrastructure and multimodal transportation options are located. This goal includes 7 policies and 5 implementing actions related to balanced growth, infill development, land use patterns that support multimodal transportation, and the creation of special planning areas that might warrant enhanced planning practices. The third goal, compatible development, aims to ensure new development is compatible with surrounding land uses. There are 7 policies and 4 detailed actions related to such topics as compatibility among and between adjacent land uses, appropriate transitions in scale between commercial centers and corridors and residential neighborhoods, and project-level mixed-use design integration. Fourth land use element goal, urban design, focuses on how good urban design can lead to a connected, attractive, and desirable community to live, work, and visit. There are a total of 13 policies and 6 implementing actions to help achieve good urban design, related to such topics as the objective design standards, adaptive reuse, walkable streetscapes, and public art where appropriate. Fifth goal, economic development, is intended to promote a strong, diverse, and resilient local economy that ensures the availability of key infrastructure and community services. This goal includes 9 policies and 3 implementing actions, including developing and maintaining a business-friendly and innovation-focused ecosystem, broadening the city's tax base, and fostering communities' economic vitality and stakeholder partnerships. The last goal, infrastructure planning, is to ensure adequate, reliable public infrastructure and facilities to support both the current and future development. There are 7 policies and 2 implementing programs that cover implementing public policy plans, maintaining and financing capital improvements, and ensuring existing and planned facilities maintain adequate capacity. The draft land use element also addresses certain comments that were made by City Council during our last presentation. The first one was to allow neighborhoods serving commercial uses in residential neighborhoods at corner intersections where such uses are not currently permitted in multifamily residential designations and zones. This suggestion has been incorporated as an action item under the goal of compatible development, calling for the evaluation of allowing limited commercial uses at key intersections within residential neighborhoods to provide local access to groceries, eateries, and other such neighborhood-serving businesses within walking distance. Comment was also made last year that certain multifamily residential properties that were not developed to their previously allowed maximum density and were subsequently downzoned in the 1980s, that these be redesignated or rezoned in order to permit future redevelopment at the original density levels. This suggestion was not advanced due to the current policy focus of directing new infill multifamily residential development to major thoroughfares where there's existing or proposed infrastructure, transit, access, and services, and where these are more readily available. And this is defined in the land use goal directed growth and associated policies and actions. Should council choose to advance this suggestion, staff could incorporate this as a possible action for study. And lastly, go back to the one. Lastly, the suggestion to designate the city-owned parcel adjacent to the Dad's Club with the new city-owned residential overlay, the CORO, to allow for residential development was included in the land use map amendments. The draft land use element contains 2 maps. First one on the left, This shows the overall general plan planning area, which includes the entire city, as well as the sphere of influence, meaning the La Crescenta area that's depicted in yellow hatch marks. Map on the right is the proposed land use map, identifying the locations of the different land uses or designations. Amendments to the land use map include updates for consistency with current zoning and built uses, the correction of split zone lots, the application of new higher density mixed use land use designations along the bus rapid transit, the BRT route on Glen Oaks and in and around the Pacific Avenue Gateway area, the new Coro overlay to allow multifamily development at city-owned properties, and the application of new specific plan designation to the town center and downtown specific plan areas as identified in the map. And note that no changes to the actual specific plans or boundaries are proposed. The next 8 slides show the detailed land use map amendments as outlined in Exhibit 1 or Exhibit 2 of your packet. Would council like to review each of these individually, or would you prefer that we proceed on to the new environmental justice element?
Council members, when you say individually, do you mean in detail?
In
Because
detail,
there's
the 8 next slides, correct.
a lot of stuff in there. Council members?
Can you repeat your question one more time?
Would you like staff to go over the 8 individual land use maps showing the changes? Or would you prefer us to skip to the environmental justice element?
Why don't you go over it with us, if you could, for the 8 slides that you have?
Of course.
Attachment. Is that attachment 1?
It would be attachment number, exhibit number 2. Correct. And all of these maps are available online and on the GlendalePlan.com website. So the map here before you shows changes on corrections, things like redesignating parcels such as Clark Magnet High School to public, semi-public, and making minor corrections for SR, the special recreation areas, or the recreation open space designations. Next slide shows the Montrose Honolulu area. Again, the changes are outlined in black boxes. Most of these changes in the Montrose area relate to the application of the Coro to the parking lots north of Honolulu and to the south of Honolulu as well. There are a few minor corrections and updates along North Verdugo Boulevard. This particular map shows the changes along Glen Oaks Boulevard, which turns into Verdugo. The changes being the application of the Coro for the city-owned parking lots near Glendale City College, and corrections of the actual land use designations for the existing multifamily residential uses just north of the City College. There are a minor few land use designation corrections on the southerly portion of the Glendale Boulevard just below the freeway. This particular map outlines the area on the west side of the city along Glen Oaks Boulevard and San Fernando Road. These areas are being redesignated to mixed-use non-residential and mixed-use residential. The mixed-use residential categories or designations are found along Glen Oaks Boulevard, along the BRT route, and the ones along San Fernando Road are just reflective of the existing current zoning, which allows for mixed-use residential on the northerly side of San Fernando Boulevard, and on the southerly side of San Fernando Boulevard, it's currently zoned IMU, which does not allow for residential, and that would be maintained in the land use designation of mixed-use non-residential. The same applies to the parcels to the south along the 5 freeway. This particular map outlines the central portion of the city. Note the largest box in the center, which identifies the Pacific Avenue Gateway District. This area, currently zoned and designated commercial and multifamily, is now going to be designated primarily mixed-use residential. with some pockets of a high and very high density residential area adjacent to the freeway and just south on Pacific Avenue between, east of Pacific Avenue, that is. The area to the far left identifies the parcels along San Fernando Road that are being corrected, I should say, to reflect the current zoning. Again, the IMUR parcels, the industrial mixed-use residential zoned parcels, are going to be designated as mixed-use residential in the land use element, and the parcels that are currently zoned IMU, industrial mixed-use, which does not allow for residential development, those are going to be designated as mixed-use non-residential. The other remaining little parcels outlined in black are ones that are to be corrected. This map shows the southernmost portion of the city. Again, the majority of these parcels are being redesignated to reflect the mixed-use residential and the mixed-use non-residential land use designations. There are several parcels also that are being corrected along Glendale Boulevard to the right, on the right-hand side. These parcels are going to reflect the correct zoning of as a land use category of community commercial. This particular map shows the westerly side or the southwesterly side of the city. Again, all of these minor changes are corrections to the land use designation map. Note that the parcel that is highlighted in light green, that is the south campus of the Glendale Community College, and that is going to be redesignated as public, semi-public, so that all high schools, middle schools, and the colleges are going to be designated public, semi-public. The remainder are just corrections to ensure that those particular parcels are appropriately designated as community commercial and reflect the current development pattern. And last but not least, there's just a minor correction on the hillside portion. One particular lot is going to be redesignated for recreation open space. With that, we go to the environmental justice element. And the environmental justice element is
Yes,
a new,
Leah, hold on a
Yes.
second.
Can we do
Or would you like me to
questions,
go back?
comments
Sure.
at this point before we go on to the
Of course.
next element? I think it might be easier.
Yes, go
I have a
ahead.
few things. First of all, I think this is generally very good, and I appreciate all the work you've put in. I'm really happy to see that you've added the LU3B action, which is about neighborhood serving commercial and mixed use, low density mixed use and single family. And I really strongly support us looking at opportunities to get more locally serving commercial, like bodegas and coffee shops and things like that to serve the community, so we get more. We bring the amenities closer to the people that use them. So I'm very happy about that. I'd like to see us really focus in around how to create some town centers in areas like Adams Square, Mini Park, where we have that one coffee shop that's very dearly loved by the community there, but how we, and I guess this is more of an economic development question than a zoning question, but how do we get more of those types of businesses operating in that area to really give it some life? And the same thing could be said for the area around Glendale College, the main campus, and perhaps even like the Victory Boulevard area around the Rancho. I know there's been an interest in that community dating back years to try to, I guess, enliven that area and make it more of a town center with its own unique character, kind of an equestrian themed character, perhaps. So I would like us to, see us do more work on that. And then how do we do a better job incentivizing ground floor retail in some of the large projects, like the Sears project, for example, but things like that, where ground floor retail has not been that eagerly embraced by developers, and where it has been put in, it hasn't always been that successful. So what do we do there to create some really vibrant ground floor retail, like little, grocery stores and things like that, so people can easily access, the things they need every day. Those are, I have some little nitty specific ones, like on LU 3A, which talks about, let me go to my thing, LU 3A, talks about compatible development. I think that one is LU 3A. Hold on a second.
I believe you're
There was one I know that talks about compatible development, and it's LU 3A, and it talks about, appropriate building scale or siting. There are a whole bunch of bullet points there,
Yes.
right? Site design, noise attenuating features. I don't see anything about lighting, and I think lighting has been a problem sometimes with development that's been incompatible because of excessive lighting. So I think that's something that I want to flag. No, that's mainly it.
It does, you're saying it doesn't mention light?
Does it mention lighting?
It does, sort of in the middle bullet point there.
It refers to site and structure design to avoid excessive glare or excessive impacts
Oh,
from
from
light
light?
sources onto adjacent
Okay,
properties.
then I missed that. Okay. I think that's about, let me see. I don't know, I don't have numbers on mine.
LU 3.1 I have, not A.
Keep going till it
LU-3A.
gets to
Yeah,
action.
Under
it does,
action
it does
items.
say it. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that out, that lighting, I think, has been an issue in some developments, and something that I don't think in the past we've been as focused on that as we probably ought to be. I think that's probably it for me.
Thank you for emphasizing that point. Yes.
Mr. Garpetian, would you like to put questions now, or?
No, nothing right now. Let's finish the presentation and maybe hear from the public, and I'll.
Okay, so let's move on to the environmental justice.
So again, the environmental justice element is a brand new element for the city's general plan, and its intention is to address and prevent disproportionate environmental impacts on historically marginalized communities. So this initiative aligns with Senate Bill 1000, and this bill requires local governments identify if there are any environmental justice communities, or as noted in legislation, disadvantaged communities, in quotes. And if these environmental justice communities are present, that environmental justice be addressed in their general plans. So the key goals or principles of environmental justice include increasing the transparency and public engagement in local planning and decision-making, reducing harmful pollutants and associated health risks in a disadvantaged community, promoting equitable access to benefits such as healthy food, quality housing, public facilities, and recreational opportunities. Again, this new element would reflect the city's commitment to equity, health, and environmental sustainability for all residents. The EJ element features two appendices. Appendix A is the existing conditions report, which discusses how environmental justice communities were identified using data sources such as the California Communities Environmental Health Screen Tool, known short as CalEnviro Screen, and the California Air Resources Board Priority Populations Mapping Tool. As shown in the green on the map, there are a total of 28 environmental justice communities in the city of Glendale that have higher pollution burdens and vulnerabilities than in other areas of the city. The report also provides a baseline of existing conditions related to EJ for the entire city and these provide a clear understanding of the EJ-related challenges and opportunities affecting Glendale's diverse communities. Appendix B, the Public Outreach Summary Report. This appendix summarizes the robust, multifaceted, and multilingual public engagement program conducted to collect the local data and knowledge regarding the EJ issues. Such outreach included a dedicated webpage on the GlendalePlan.com site, multilingual surveys distributed on social media, the website, newsletters, flyers, and direct mailers. The direct mailer that went out to over 40,000 households within the EJ communities here in Glendale. Public outreach booths at Fire Service Day, Glendale Cruise Night, National Night Out last year, and project fact sheets, survey business cards, and other handouts that were available at all such events and at City Hall and other community facilities. So the appendices inform the environmental justice element, and the element itself features 8 topic areas, each of which contains its own set of goals and related policies and specific actions. The first environmental justice goal, pollution exposure and air quality, aims to reduce pollution exposure and improve air quality through efficient and sustainable practices and infrastructure. This goal includes 10 policies and 11 implementing programs that cover numerous topics such as multimodal transportation, sustainable development, water quality, and coordination with regional agencies. And these all are meant to reduce pollution and improve air quality. Second goal, public facilities, seeks to promote access to public facilities such as hospitals, libraries, schools, and public transit, particularly in underserved communities. The goal includes 8 policies and 4 implementing programs that cover increasing the number and quality of these facilities and services, expanding access to services, parks and recreation facilities, and improving the conditions of crosswalks and sidewalks that provide access to these public facilities. The third goal, healthy food access, aims to ensure that all residents have access to food that is affordable, nutritious, and culturally appropriate. The goal has 9 policies and 11 implementing programs, such as encouraging more community gardens and increasing coordination with economic development and stakeholders for more farmers markets, mobile health markets, and farm stands. Good. The fourth goal, safe and sanitary homes, focuses on providing healthy and safe living conditions for all residents. The goal includes 8 policies and 9 implementing actions that include reducing exposure to lead, asbestos, and other hazardous materials, increasing awareness of hazardous living conditions, promoting energy efficiency and property maintenance, and enhancing access to cooling infrastructure. Fifth goal, physical activity, promotes physical activity by providing all residents with safe access to a variety of recreational opportunities. There are 8 physical activity policies and 13 implementing actions, such as repurposing underutilized public spaces into community fitness zones, providing subsidized passes to recreation programs, and developing a more connected and sustainable trail system. Sixth goal, unique or compounded health risks. Now, this one is intended to address the unique characteristics specific to Glendale, and that are important. That these characteristics include vulnerability to natural disasters and climate change, air quality related to the car-centric development patterns, and historically unrepresented groups. Note again, there's 7 policies and 5 implementing programs that cover noise pollution, inclusive outreach of physical and mental health services, and reducing climate change vulnerability, and these were also mentioned and discussed in the safety element. The 7th goal, civic engagement, promotes community participation in the decision-making process by ensuring that public outreach efforts are culturally sensitive and inclusive. Within this goal, there are 8 policies and 5 implementing programs that focus on improving information and meeting accessibility, conducting targeted outreach, organizing community events, and fostering relationships with individuals and community-based organizations. And last but not least, the 8th goal, public improvements and community programs. This one focuses on prioritizing projects, programs, and investments that directly serve and benefit residents within environmental justice communities. This goal includes 5 policies and 6 implementing programs that encourage regional collaboration, equitable economic development, grant-seeking efforts, increased greening in tree-deficient areas, and ongoing engagement with environmental justice communities to identify their priorities. So this concludes the summaries of the draft land use and environmental justice elements. These drafts are available on the GlendalePlan.com website, and they can also be accessed using the QR code on the screen. We really encourage the public to review the drafts and provide comments using the online comment form, or comments can also be emailed to GlendalePlan@glendaleca.gov. The comment period for the land use and environmental drafts officially ends on August the 19th, but we will be taking comments throughout the rest of the process. The staff and the consultant, we will continue public engagement throughout the summer, and we anticipate circulating the draft environmental impact report and we will be circulating the draft environmental impact report in the fall, and this would follow the release of the draft mobility element. Public hearings with the Planning Commission, the Transportation and Parking Commission, and the City Council are expected to take place early next year. With that, staff is available to answer any questions you may have or any questions from the public as well.
Okay, why don't we hear from the public?
Mayor, I do have 2 cards and 2 callers.
Okay.
First person is Patrick Murphy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members. I attended the December 9th, 2024 scoping meeting on these elements, and following that meeting, I came to council and told you that there were more staff members than there were attendees at that meeting. The public comment period for that scoping meeting was during the holidays. Today, we're hearing that the public comment period is approximately 45 days. This land use element proposal is changing the landscape and fundamental characteristics of neighborhoods, such as Montrose, Rossmoyne, Royal Canyon, neighborhoods above Glen Oaks, and Rancho as examples. No one knows about this issue, as evidenced by no call-ins, well, 2 call-ins, excuse me, and very little attendance here. 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon is probably not an appropriate time to receive this report. People do not know what is about to happen with this. This is a critical issue in the city of Glendale, and the outreach is woefully inadequate. Why is that? Thank you.
Next is Lisa Morris. Lisa, you have 3 minutes.
First of all, what Patrick said, I totally agree. I didn't know about this, and I'm rather involved in the community, so what did I miss and why did I miss it? I only found out about this meeting because of something he posted on Facebook in La Crescenta Neighbors. Now, in particular, a question, I don't know what lot you're talking about next to Dad's Club. Which one is that?
That is the triangular lot, the city-owned parking lot just south of Dad's Club.
Okay, so it's the parking lot that the college uses. Is that the one? And
Well,
what
we-
about the
we
baseball
can't-
field?
Ms. Morris, we can't
I was
go
gonna
back
say.
and forth, so if you'd like to ask your question.
Oh, I
we
thought
can-
this was, we had an opportunity to ask questions.
No.
I misunderstood that.
Well, let me correct myself. You can ask a question, but we won't answer it immediately.
Okay, all right, well, that was unclear to me, what lot you're talking about. Now, the most Now, honestly, I have not had a chance to go through this voluminous report, so I don't even know what all my questions might be or my objections or agreements might be yet. But the one thing that's clear to me is on the map, you're touching Montrose. You need to leave Montrose alone. That's a historic district. And this came up in the housing element, and we had meetings with the state or county or whoever it was, and we told them, leave that alone, and they did. They pushed it off. Now, from what I can tell here, you're going to be using the parking lot that already is very much used when we had events on Honolulu. But besides that, from what I can tell, you're going to be eliminating current stores and businesses that run along just north of Honolulu. And I would imagine that the residents are really going to cause quite a stink about that because they want to go to those businesses. And you're going to displace them, just like so many businesses got displaced on Central Avenue. How many restaurants got closed and doctors and dentists' office had to go somewhere else? So has all that really been thought through? We really do need a public meeting up in our area, La Crescenta, Montrose, and bring all this out, and we will work on getting people there. But leave Montrose alone. I can't imagine, losing those stores and parking lot that are utilized.
Thank you, Ms. Morris. Time's
Okay,
up.
thank you.
Mayor, I have 3 callers. I'm going to start with the first one.
Before we go to those callers, can I ask a question related to the comments that Ms. Morris just made?
Mike, I'm going to put you on hold for a second.
Yeah, I apologize. But Delia, can you talk about the comment about displacing stores? I don't think that's in the picture at all. So I don't want that to be misunderstood.
Yes, Councilmember Brotman, Council, there are no changes to the commercial areas in Montrose. The only change that is proposed at this time would be an overlay for the city-owned parking lots. That is the only change to allow for residential development on city-owned parking lots, and any type of such development would go before the city council to then be negotiated and approved.
Okay. And I know that's not the only concern, but I thought that comment,
Yes,
didn't square with what I understood, so I wanted to clear that up.
thank you. And we can answer any questions regarding the public outreach at a later time as well, because there was quite a bit of public noticing.
Callers?
Mike Mohill. Mike, you have 3 minutes. Can you hear me? Mike Mohill? Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, you have 3 minutes, Mike. Go ahead.
Thank you. You know, I've been in the city of Glendale since age 12. I've been through all the schools of Glendale. Population of Glendale was about 80,000 when I was age 12. It's now close to 200,000. This whole thing, this whole line called social justice element, to me is a bunch of BS. I'm sorry. I'm offended by these kind of words. I call a spade, okay? We do not need to change the zoning. We don't need to change you're trying to change the quality of life of people in the city of Glendale with this zoning. Equity, equity is when you go to school, you get a job, and you make money. You're talking about giving handouts to people who don't want to work. That's what it sounds like to me. You want to destroy the American dream, the single-family residential neighborhood. People go to school, they work hard, and they want a single family. They don't want to have an apartment building next to their home. Repeat myself, an apartment complex next to their home. You want to destroy the quality of life of Glendale. I think this whole staff report, they have too much time on their hand. They have too much money in their budget, and they don't live in the city of Glendale. We're going to have, with this bill, we're going to increase of crime. More population, more density. We do not need increased density. And this is what this whole thing is about. Environmental justice element, nonsense. Let's talk about quality of life. And quality of life does not mean increasing density of the city of Glendale. You already went ahead right now. Currently is the Sears building. What, is going to have 600 units or more? Look at that density of downtown Glendale with all those units. Was that thoughtful planning? Why didn't you mention having a nice regional park instead, staff, in your staff report? No. You want more apartments. You want to make Glendale have a population of 300,000. 200,000 isn't enough, is it? Think about this, council members. You know, if it's not broken, why fix it? Again, if it's not broken, why fix it? Most people are happy. You know, why do people want to live in Glendale? Because they like the quality of life here. And when you start putting in more people, you're going to have more crime. And you know what? They're not going to want to live in Glendale. And property values were going to drop. It's because of the quality of life. Single-family residential is why people want to live in Glendale. You keep increasing density and more people, the quality of life will go down, 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 and watch our taxes and our value of our homes go down. So, council members, before you do
Thank you, Mike.
anything,
Your 3 minutes
please
is
think
up.
about it.
Thank you, Mike. 3 minutes
Thank
is
you.
up. Next caller is Fernando Roldan. Fernando, you are live. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I have to agree with most of the folks that are on board. At this point, right now, with the way things are going on with the federal government, the tariffs, you know, I think I would hold off doing any land planning, only because for a few reasons. First of all, especially in the Rancho, Riverside Rancho area, as an example, we don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of buses around that area. There's only one bus, but that metro bus is very limited and very slow. So that's one reason. Number two, if any changes need to be made, especially for buildings and all, to be consulted with disabled advocates and also disabled organizations like the Independent Living Center and Van Nuys, and also my organization in downtown Cali. Communities actively living independently free, because the thing is, we do need more buildings and all in those zones, but at least to make sure that most of those buildings, especially for those who are working class and disabled, need to be appropriately done to make sure that there are buildings for working class disabled folks as well that are accessible with accessible bathrooms and all. That's another thing that needs to be brought up to the attention, if anything like that. Three, I have to agree, you know, don't change Montrose, don't change most of the things, maybe a few things, but I would go slow, only because of the fact that really, if you start construction, you're going to put a lot of dust in the air. And unfortunately, you know, there are neighbors that are, you know, may be sick from asthma. I would wait a little bit more, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. And as usual, that's my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Alex Balekian. Alex, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, City Council. This is Alex Balekian, and I would like to speak about these land use and zoning changes. In Glendale, we need 4 votes to institute zoning changes, so with only 3 people present, it's unclear if we're going to do that now. But I also want to bring everyone's attention, not just City Council, but everyone listening and in Glendale, that this is a moot point what we're doing, because as soon as the rapid transit bus lane from North Hollywood through Glendale along Glen Oaks, Central, and Broadway comes through town, because it is a high-frequency bus lane, all of our discussions about how we would like to zone our own city will be moot, because based on the recent revision in late 2024 that went into effect January 1st, 2025, the new builder's remedy will supersede any local zoning regulations. So along Glen Oaks, from Alameda all the way to Central, going a half a mile in either direction, which means going up above Kenneth. In the fine print, it says that local zoning will be superseded and developers can put in up to a density of 35 units per acre, which is a high density. So even though we're discussing the zoning of parking lots here in different areas, we are being distracted. And the approval for this bus lane through our city will require only a 3-person majority. So although right now we are discussing a 4-person majority to rezone Glendale locally, as soon as that bus lane comes in, and that bus lane will come in with 3 people voting for it, that will all go out the window, and then we will be seeing rezoning that is independent of any of our thoughts. Other thoughts that I have, Dan, you mentioned wanting coffee shops and bodegas locally. Opening up a small business in Glendale is notoriously difficult. City Council has proposed a new business tax to fund their spending addiction and to fill these budget deficits that it has created. Sales receipts for all of Glendale were down 8% year over year in the prior budget study sessions. You can open up businesses, bodegas, coffee shops until the cows come home. People aren't going to frequent those businesses because people don't have the disposable income, because their electricity bills are sky high, and you just voted with the rest of the council to increase them more slowly so that people wouldn't notice. You talked about environmental justice neighborhoods. These neighborhoods hug Glen Oaks and Central and Broadway. When these bus lanes go in and they remove a lane of traffic in each direction, Broadway is going to be choked down to 1 lane in each direction from the Galleria to past Glendale High School into Eagle Rock. There will be more idling cars in those single lanes. There will be worsening pollution in these environmental justice neighborhoods that you claim that you want to help. So what I'm telling everybody is Glendale is a bedroom community. We need more single-family zones. We need to make it less congested, and your desire.
Thank you, Alex. Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you. Mayor and council members, there are no more callers.
Thank you. So, Villia, before I guess we zero in and perhaps ask some more detailed questions, what exactly is the effect of us approving? Well, today we're just essentially accepting your presentation. It's going out to the public, to the different commissions. Residents do have a chance to make comments until August 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Those comments are taken and they are responded to.
Correct.
Individually, or I guess you group them together. If it's the same question, it's grouped. Are we changing the zoning? Is any vote today that we're doing now changing zoning?
Mayor Najarian, council members, before you is a presentation only. There is no decision being made today. We are doing this as an update, both to City Council and the public. This particular presentation is going to be one of many, and any changes to the zoning will occur after the land use element update has been reviewed and approved, if it is adopted and approved by City Council. I would also like to point out, and I believe Mr. Calvert actually has a comment since he is at the dais, so perhaps you'd like to.
Mayor, council members, if I can just provide a quick summary of it. Ms. Zemetzide is correct. We're not voting on anything today. This is something that you have seen before. We brought this back and actually in response to some of the comments made to continue enhancing our outreach. The comment period that we're doing now, this document being available for comment that we're here to inform you of, that is really the intent of this meeting today, is to make sure that we continuously put that out there for public review, public consumption, and to get their feedback. There's no vote here today. Even with the land use element itself, when it comes time to adopt, you are still not approving zoning. I would like to make that clear. Zoning comes later. What we're setting and what I would consider the land use element is kind of the aspirational document. This is what we would like to set the tone for. That's why we use terms like high density, middle density, low density. What those actual numbers end up being is something to be determined later on when we come back and write those actual policies. That's the idea behind this. That's really what the general plan is for in itself. Each of those pieces is kind of an aspirational element. Then we kind of do soup the nuts later on to come up with those exact numbers, those exact development standards, things of that nature. But summary, you are not making a decision today. It's an update. It's to let the public know that we have this document out there. We'd like to get more comments before we even put this out for an EIR in case we need to make any changes.
So let's say at some future date, when council does vote, and once it's gone through the outreach, and council does vote to approve the land use element. In that land use element, let's just say that one of the, or several of the parking lots in Montrose, which you've indicated, are, I guess, labeled as the city-owned, what do you call it, Cora? City-owned?
City-owned residential overlay. Coro.
Residential overlay. And it includes that. Does that in any way obligate the council at a future date to change the zoning of those current lots to anything different than it actually is?
No, absolutely not. If we came back, if we were directed by council to come back with a change of zoning, or if the council directed us to come back with an RFP to consider development, all of that requires several steps. This is something, as I said, kind of aspirational. If this council or future councils decide they would like to do something, it just kind of sets the tone. But it does not put any definitive regulations in place that would actually move that forward, obligate the council, obligate the city to anything on that.
And we're required by state law to adopt this land use element. Is that
Yes, we do
correct?
need an updated land use element. I would also add into that part of the housing element does, one of the policies in there does require us to look, at least consider, and put RFPs out for some of the city-owned properties, not specifically maybe Montrose or the other ones discussed, but it is a requirement of ours as part of our housing element.
So you're not, as one of the callers mentioned, you're not doing this because staff has too much time on their hands?
Absolutely not. The funding also came from state grants as well. And if I may address that, one of those comments in there, the builder's remedy only applies if our housing element is stripped from us, or if it's not adopted. That's when builder's remedy comes into play. That is not part of a mandate and enforcement that goes into play. There are some rules and regulations that are being considered or have been done along transit corridors, which we have appropriately addressed. In fact, we listed, provided an opposition letter to one of them recently and provided an alternative that we do think may become part of that amendment and helps us retain local control while we fulfill our obligations to create housing.
Okay, but as a council member, no one is obligated to change the zoning that may be indicated as a aspiration for any particular neighborhood or part of the city that you've presented before us.
That is correct. And whether that's a Montrose parking lot or the parcels along Glen Oaks, that will come back at a later time.
Okay, because I guess to quote one of my colleagues, my phone has been blowing up with different calls and concerns, believing that today we are changing the zoning to permit 50 units per acre behind, Gus and Andy's or whatever. Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Garpetian?
Okay. Well, my comments are all over the place, so you have to indulge me. This is a presentation only, but this is almost a direction to go towards what's in the report. Also, as far as the state laws, currently we have parking lots that are zoned for residential or mixed-use developments, and we can start there instead of changing the laws or zoning or overlay zoning for properties along Verdugo Road or in Montrose. Also, high density and low density. My understanding is the high density is 100 units per acre. With today's mandates from the city, it could be 200 units an acre, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on many of these neighborhoods. I've done some numbers on the one along the south of the church on Verdugo and Mountain. As I mentioned in the past, if that is part of this land use element, I will not support it. Between all of these parking lots, it's about 5.5 to 6 acres. It will accommodate about 600 to 800 units there. And in that area, I don't think anybody wants there. We built 6,000 units, and our population went down by 6,000 to 8,000. What happened was the families moved out. It's more households, but less people. So that means families moved out and only single people moved in. I'm not against single people moving in, but I want to keep the balance. Transit-oriented developments. In the environmental justice element that we have here today, it indicated that the air quality is bad, traffic is bad around train stations and main transit areas, which are part of the plan that shows where the environmental justice areas are, or the what do you call it? It's mostly in South Glendale, and now we want to build around the transit. And if that was the worst thing, if building around the transit was not a good idea because the disadvantaged communities live there because the air was bad and the quality of life is bad, why are we trying to upzone around the transit that is coming through? I think my goal is to build projects, and this is what I've been talking about for many years, build projects that will accommodate families as well. And that is giving incentive to the developers to build condominiums instead of just single families. Part of the environmental justice report that we have today is there was many deed restrictions recorded on properties, so the disadvantaged communities could not purchase those properties and build generational wealth. But what we're doing today, we're just building rental units, nothing else. So that is continuing in a way because we don't offer or we don't create any opportunity for middle class or whoever to be able to purchase a condominium and stay in Glendale and live in Glendale. We also need to know what is the current, in areas that we are changing the zone, we need to know how many units we have there today and how many units are going to be demolished and what's going to be built instead. And in the areas of Burchett and Arden and around Pacific, there are so many condominium projects. I don't know how, if we upzone that area to 50 to 100 units an acre, then it's going to incentivize developers to purchase these ownership housings and demolish them and build small units. And I'm going to go over these maps. Grid B is where the Honolulu parking lots are. I will not support that to change the zoning, to have an underlay zoning for city properties to be developed. Their parking lots, I just want to leave it the way it is. Grid C, it shows Verdugo Wash. I was told that the attempt to rezone or change the zoning inside the Verdugo Wash was taken out of this new proposal. I want to make sure that's the case publicly so everybody will see. I know in briefing I was told that the zoning inside the Verdugo Wash is not being touched. It's residential 1 right now, and it's not being changed to city-owned properties or public use, basically. That's one of the questions that I have. And on grid C, wherever it shows the parking lots that is going to have that underlying zone, city-owned residential overlay, not underlying overlay. The wash goes through some of it. I just want to make sure that that doesn't change, that doesn't apply to the zoning inside of the wash. It's the parking lots that you're referring to in this case.
Councilmember Varpetti, would you like me to address your comments at this point or questions or when you were through?
Oh, when I'm through. So, and also this used to be called spot zoning, when you get 2 or 3 properties and change the zones only on these 2, 3 properties. It was not permitted in the past. I don't know, probably the law changed that. I'm not aware of it. Also the one on Glen Oaks, I just want to make sure that the zones that are being changed, the codes that are being changed, or zonings that are being changed are only the properties facing Glen Oaks. It doesn't go 1 or 2 blocks north of Glen Oaks, because I can't tell by the, and I appreciate that. I want to go on the record and say that I appreciate the colored and very large renderings. I can read it. I just want to make sure that that doesn't go up to Glenwood or, no, it doesn't. Okay. So grid E. Again, on Burchett, Arden, Pacific and Glen Oaks, it's really a tight area as it is. I don't know, changing the zone over there and increasing the number of units. I don't know what the total number of units are going to be, but I was told it was like around 6,000 with today's code. State mandates, it could go up to 11 or 12,000. Just a couple of more. Also in the environmental justice element that we have, or the report that we have, element, I think one that needs to be added there, I read through most of it. I don't know if I can support this document the way it is today, but there is no talk about planting trees. Planet is greener than what it was 20 years ago today. If your goal is to reduce greenhouse gas, maybe part of this element has to be really investing in planting trees that will have a direct effect on it. And some of these hazardous waste sites that it's indicated here, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them that had contamination because they took these numbers and said Glendale has a huge, the number is very high on contaminated sites. Most of them are old cleaners that they have to be, I counted them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of them are, 5 out of 7 are old cleaners. It's not that we have this huge industrial stock in the middle of the city and it's all contaminated. So also the landfill areas, the waste facilities that we have 6 of them indicated here. 3 are the same address. It's 540 West Chevy Chase, 541 West Chevy Chase, and again 540 West Chevy Chase. So I want to have I wasn't here when this document was being prepared. I went through some of it. I have some issues with some of the material in it. I don't think we can go over it today. Maybe in the future we can have a special session just for this document to dive into it and digest the entire thing. Also, for our city manager, we had a report done. I don't remember exactly when it was, 2017 or 18, about the quality of life. It was similar to this, but a life expectancy in Glendale and quality of life, the air and the water and everything. It was totally a different report than what I saw here because our numbers are really high compared to other cities, and I'm challenging that, if you will. I have a little issue with some of these numbers, but I think we can dive into it later. But for me in the future, for staff to know, just to be fair, if the parking lots on Verdugo and Montrose are part of this, when the time comes to vote for zone change or what have you, I won't. And if you're not going to touch it, why are we changing the underline, the overlay zone at this time?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some comments on the environmental justice element. Then I have some overarching comments I'll give at the end. How's that? Just some small things on EJ1H, which it mentions, this is on the environmental justice. It mentions trade-in incentives. I'm sorry, wait a minute. Let me make sure that's my first one. No, let me start with EJ1-6, the landscaping and construction equipment. I just noticed it says explore feasible options for reducing noise and air pollution associated with gas power landscaping and construction equipment. I wonder why we use explore, because we already have at least for the landscaping side, we have, ordinance in place. So I would just suggest something other than explore, because it's really a matter of implementation, education, enforcement, whatever you want to call it. And that relates to the EJ1H, the trade-in incentives. It says consider a variety of incentives. There are incentives through the AQMD, and I think there it's a matter of making sure that the commercial gardeners understand what's available and have access. And that, I think that involves a little bit of outreach and hand-holding there. I also think that we should be advocating with the state to reauthorize or refund the CORE program. There was a program called CORE, which was providing substantial incentives for landscaping equipment, and that has run out of money. I think it would be smart for us to be pushing for that to get reauthorized. Let's go to, here this might be slightly controversial, but EJ2B talked about joint use agreements with GUSD schools. We have been pursuing joint use agreements and haven't had a willing partner for reasons I've really never been able to understand. But I think we need to, I want to be careful how I say this, but I think we need to be a little bit more forceful in how we approach this. We do a lot for the schools. We spend considerable amount of money on crossing guards. We spend a considerable amount of money on police resource officers. They want more from us, and I think we need to be stronger in how we insist on a quid pro quo and having them be a good partner on some of the things that we're trying to do. And I know these things are kind of not really something that you're going to address in these elements, but reading about them kind of triggers some thoughts. One of the most important things, I think, is under, you talk about safe and sanitary homes, and air quality, toxic materials, extreme temperatures. What I don't see a discussion of, and I think it should be included, is indoor air quality. There's been a lot of attention in the last few years on poor indoor air quality related to combustion of gas equipment in homes, and a lot of research on how that has the health effects. And I think to not mention indoor air quality, I think is a huge omission. So I would just want to bring that up. And on the point that Councilmember Garpetian made about trees, I mean, when I met with you individually, I said, trees. Like we need to bring that out more. It's in there. In fact, Mr. Garpetian, there is one EJ 8.4. Which talks about urban greening, and it does talk about it, so it's there, but I think if there was a single thing that we could do to address, the heat issue that's going to be increasingly affecting our residents, especially in South Glendale, trees are the best bang for the buck. And I should mention something I read recently. UCLA researchers are saying that our region is expected to heat faster than the global increase. So we really, really have to be thinking harder than we've ever thought before and acting more than we've ever acted before to bring shade cover to the environmental justice communities. So those are my comments on that. I just have some overarching comments. I mean, I feel like both of these elements are heading in the right direction. So I support them. Obviously, there are little things that I may think should be stronger, should be less strong, but I think because this is really an expression of the direction we want to move long-term in the city, I think it's on the money. I don't think we can stand still. I think we have to evolve to keep the city livable and vibrant. And that means making housing more affordable. And I think the research is really clear that housing affordability is first and foremost an issue of housing supply. And so we need to address housing supply. Traffic congestion and traffic safety, those are important things, and we need to address that through pedestrianization, through bringing retail closer to where people live so that they can get out of their cars, and other things. And I think, obviously, environmental quality is absolutely critical, and we're moving down a path where it's going to be more and more challenging to live in this region. And so we need to be really thinking about what we do to reduce our emissions and also to prepare for what is inevitably coming, whatever we do. So I think directionally this is right. And when it comes to these specific decisions, I know, questions about parking lots, which parking lots, what we do will be heavily litigated down the road. And I want to say to my friends in Montrose who also called me or wrote, we aren't deciding anything today. I think whatever we do with that parking lot, we would have to address the things that they're concerned about, which is first and foremost parking, and there would have to be a solution that replaces that parking. We know that. And there are I know they have other concerns. It goes beyond parking. So we would have to really drill down and understand those. And I think maybe the last thing I want to say is what people should remember is that these are our parking lots. We can control what goes into them, right? We're not selling these off to the highest bidder. I know one person had, that thought, yet we're selling these off. No, it's not how it's working. So if we think, 600 to 800 units or whatever in that parking lot south of the church is not what we want, is not appropriate. That's not what we need to do. It's ours. We can decide. We can do something with the college. We can look at workforce housing for faculty and for other employees of the college. If we want to get something that integrates, that reduces the number of cars that are going to be moving because people are close to their work. There's so much that we can do because we control those parcels. And I just want people to understand that. Last point, condominiums. I agree also. We need to figure out how we build a range of housing types, not just large apartment rentals, but small density, what's called missing middle housing, garden apartments, the smaller mid-sized stuff. It's hard, but we have to, do our best to figure that out. And ownership housing, absolutely. People want to move into ownership housing. They want to build equity, and we want to help them build equity. Thanks.
Okay. Just briefly, I do agree with my colleagues on the home ownership component. I think developers are largely hampered by the 10-year latent defect warranty for their homes. I would like to have this brought back to council as a new business item to see what we can do, to have a report as to what we can do to either do through our advocacy firms or individually to get some movement towards relieving that burden, which would encourage home ownership projects. I just want to put this all in perspective, and I think there's a lot of heartburn about these Montrose parking lots. Let's just say that we removed those parking lots from this plan in its entirety, and it was a unanimous decision by this council. And each one of us stated our vehement opposition to making any change to those parking lots as we adopt the land use plan. In 2 months, nothing would stop a council from deciding to do something on those parking lots. Am I correct?
Mayor Najarian, council, without this overlay, a residential proposal on the city-owned parking lots would not be in compliance with the general plan.
Yeah, that's not what you
That is the key.
So if it's not there, that will freeze it out.
That is
So the
correct.
city, no matter how great we thought we would have a project supported by everyone in Montrose, the business owners, the homeowners, the chamber, we could not do that. We would be limiting our options in proceeding with anything different on that lot.
That is correct.
I think there's a slight disconnect. Can I try to
Yes.
close? Because I think if we don't approve the zoning change, we can't do anything. But if we, let's say we were to take it out of this element, right? It's not in the land use element. And later we want to make a zoning change. Let's say 2 months from now, or a year from now, another council wants to make the zoning change. They can do that just because it's not in the element. That's
They'd have to, your land use element and your zoning have to be consistent. So you'd have to do both at some point. You could either do it now or you could do it later.
oh, okay. So the
Amendment, I mean, it would require an amendment
Correct.
to the land use element.
Correct.
And what I'd like
And again, with any, I mean, even if you change the land use element in the zoning, as part of this process, the actual control of those city parking lots and any city property are fully within the control of the city council. So whatever decision is made in the future, the council will have that choice.
And Mayor and council members, I would add on to it that zoning's already C3 as it is. Development can't occur on that site. What we're proposing is a slight modification of what would be there in the effort of trying to really respond to the conversations we've had during the budget discussions and the potential of those sites.
It's C3 anyway.
Correct.
certain, and forgive me for interjecting, there's certain lots that are zoned C3 commercial, certain ones that are also, I believe, zoned R2250, which is a low-density residential. So the city would have the ability to develop those parking lots based on the current land use designation that would have to be consistent with the current zoning. This particular overlay, as part of the general plan, would allow for residential development of these particular city-owned parking lots.
So I mean, I think there's a lot of anxiety and misplaced anxiety by many of the folks who are hearing worst-case scenarios. Well, Mr. Garpetja?
I have a couple of questions. Are the parking lots in this plan in Montrose are C3?
I would ask RM to bring up, if you don't mind,
Sure.
and this would be,
The ones that are in our plan today in the,
actually, if you don't mind, I'm not able to go back to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm hoping to go back to,
Tell me when to
so
stop.
slide B, map B, that is.
There you go.
There you are. So the parcels, note, the parcels that are in purple are community commercial today. They're zoned some sort of commercial zoning. The parcels that are on the northerly side of Honolulu are actually low, medium density residential today. I believe it's a R2250 zoning designations for those lots. The only change that we are proposing, I'd have to, yes, we can confirm that. The only change that is being proposed would be a city-owned residential overlay, the Coro overlay, which would allow the city to develop multifamily residential on these city-owned parking lots.
well, if the zoning currently allows that, what's the purpose of changing it?
The zoning would not allow development at the density that is proposed under the Coro
And the height?
and the height.
Okay, there we go. I think that's the concern.
Whereas-
Because with R1250, if I'm remembering correctly, it's about 3 stories. Am I correct? And R1250, you cannot have residential on the ground level. You have to go up from second floor up. It's more difficult to develop on it currently than if you can build residential on it today with no questions asked, there is no reason to change the zoning on it. And also the parking lots next to the, across the street from college and next to the church, south of the church, they're not commercial. They're not, what's it called? Recreational.
The ones you're referring to there are special recreation.
Special recreation. So those are not commercial, they're not C3, you cannot develop on it currently. So by changing this and creating this underlaying zone, residential overlay zone, I keep saying underlaying zone, you're allowing the development, and it's 50 units to the acre with today's state rules, bonus density rules, density bonus rules. You can go up to 100 units, and you can go up to 6 stories. It's a never-ending. I think it's opening up a can of worms. And currently, we have the parking lots in downtown area. They are zoned for it. If we want to try and see what we can build, what we can do, why don't we try 1 or 2 of these parking lots and see how would that work?
Mr. Garpetian, Councilman Garpetian, that is the plan that our CDD is going to bring forward to consideration of development of those parking lots, city-owned parking lots in downtown.
I appreciate that. And I think instead of jumping the gun and changing the zone on these properties, let's see what kind of a product are we getting, what kind of because developers are going to come in and try to maximize their density and go as high as they can. It may work in downtown, but it won't work in these areas. I think we're kind of scarring this neighborhoods by allowing 4 to 6 stories with 100 units an acre, basically, potentially on it. As far as condo incentives goes, I asked this in the past. I think we have a formula. If they're building condominium, they are getting the developers, we provided some incentives on their permit fees. I like to know what that is, because many of the developers don't know that. And I think we did that to just counter the cost of the insurance to develop condominium projects, and I'd like to know what that is. And also for that environmental justice element, we have to find out, I mean, these are all ideas that's built into this element. We need to know what the cost and what the results are. If we implement everything that this element is asking us, what is the result? What are we going to end up? What kind of how much of greenhouse gas reductions are we going to have? How much of the temperature difference it would make today or when we achieve all of these goals? We need to understand what are we approving, because some of these things are, it's really fair, but some will put more burden on the residents in a different way. So I like to understand, implementing all of these rules, what's the cost and what's the result? And I think we should understand that for everything we do.
Okay, the item before us is to receive the report that planning staff just gave us. Is there a motion?
I'll move to receive the report, whatever the right terminology is.
Accepting the presentation.
Accept the presentation.
With the understanding of where our goals and values, or where we lie on as far as because I don't agree with everything this report says. So by accepting it today, like a note and file, we're not approving that. They won't come back later and say, well, you accepted this report, so.
Councilman Garpetian, it's just an accepting, it's like a note and file. You're not, no approval, it can't be deemed an approval. It's just accepting the presentation. It's as part of the process that we're required by law to make this presentation as part of our public outreach
So do the
process.
comments and questions then, are they considered equal to those from the public who write in and make comments on this item? Or do we have to? I mean, there were several concerns raised. Have those been noted? And will they be addressed at a later?
Yes, Mayor Najarian, your comments have been noted. We will take them under consideration and provide feedback at the next presentation.
Okay, thank you.
With that, I would also, if you don't mind, bring up the slide one more time, because I think this is very important.
Yes.
Right now, we are in the middle of the comment period. We ask that individuals, it was the slide that was just up.
8?
Well, then the QR code.
It was the QR code one.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So we We provided notices to all of the community groups, neighborhood associations, all the groups that were on the list for the city manager's office, as well as to all the subscribers currently for the GlendalePlan.com website. We really encourage individuals, if you're interested, and we have a number of subscribers that are already on our email blast list, to subscribe. You will get personalized emails from planning staff, and those notices that went out actually had our contact information, my contact information, and I do live in the city of Glendale, by the way, just to clarify that. We extended an invitation to have any type of meeting with the public, any type of particular group. We'd love to meet with you to discuss the land use element, the environmental justice element. So we do welcome both comments online, and if there are any questions, the telephone number to the planning staff is on the screen, and we just respectfully request comments be provided by August 19th, though we will accept comments after that date as well.
And this is also on the splash page of our city website.
That is correct.
And please, if you're interested in any component of this, whether it's the environmental justice or the land use, send an email, call in, and hopefully if there's more than, I don't know what your critical mass is for public outreach, but there's a lot of nuances to this. As you can tell, some of our questions,
Of course.
we're trying to pull out those threads. It's not an easy concept to understand, and there's many different areas. So please write in, call in, email, and we hope to have your questions answered, at least responded to, as this proceeds through our process.
Yes, thank you. And if anyone is interested, we will have a public outreach booth this coming Saturday at Cruise Night from 5:30 to 10:30 p.m. So our planning team will be there in person, so you're welcome to speak to us face to face. We will also have a public outreach booth at National Night Out on, I believe it's August the 5th, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So you will have an opportunity to ask your questions in person if you come to either of those events. So
Before
we
we
encourage the
take a
public
vote-
to participate in this process.
Before we take a vote, I would like to get an answer for the Verdugo wash on my question about Verdugo wash.
Yes, Councilmember Garpetian, no changes are proposed to the Verdugo wash. Everything is remaining as is. And there are also no changes to any of the low-density designated zones, which would be the single-family zones, just for clarification. So no changes to the Verdugo wash, no changes to single-family areas as well.
Yeah, because the previous presentation that we had, there was like cleanup language inside for the Verdugo wash, inside the wash, so that's taken out.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's take.
Is there a second?
Would you like to second that?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Asadurian, Brotman,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Kasakian, and Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Thank you. Next item.
Next item is item item 2, Police Department regarding State of California, Department of California Highway Patrol, CHP, Cannabis Tax Fund Grant Program. Request for authorization to accept grant funds to be used to reduce and mitigate the impact of impaired driving in local communities. One, motion to accept grant funds in the amount of $435,345.44 and authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with the state of California, Department of California Highway Patrol for the award of funds under California Highway Patrol CHP Cannabis Tax Fund Law Enforcement Grant Program.
We probably should have taken this first, but I know the chief has a keen interest in urban planning, so we're giving him some education during this. Mr. Galanian.
Yeah, Mayor Najarian, Member City Council, what Mr. Adjournment read into the record is pretty self-explanatory. We don't have a presentation, but Chief Sid is available if you have any questions.
Is there a motion or a question?
I'll move the item.
Second.
No callers, I presume?
No callers or cards.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Asadurian, Brotman,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Kasakian, and Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Next
And
item, I
adjournment.
think that concludes our business for the special meeting. So if there's no objection, we will adjourn. And I call to order the regular meeting of the Glendale City Council for July 15th, 2025. May we have roll call?
Councilmember Asadrian, Brotman,
Here.
Karapetian,
Here.
Kasakian, and Mayor Najarian.
Here, may we have your closed session items?
1A would be anticipated litigation, potential initiation of one case. B would be public employment attorneys. C, conference with legal counsel regarding 2 cases brought by Central BWB LLC. D, conference with labor negotiators, unrepresented positions, city manager and city attorney. E, conference with legal counsel in the matter of Jafaza versus the city of Glendale. F, conference with legal counsel in the matter of Escobar versus city of Glendale. And G, conference with real property negotiators regarding proposed property location 309 Orange Street.
Mr. Garcia, do you anticipate reporting out on any of these?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on items 1E and F.
Thank you. We will recess to closed council, to closed session.